Okay, there you go, Sean. Let's show everyone how to do a cape. We're not going to actually cape this because it's a doe, but if you get a buck and you're lucky, this is how you would go ahead and cape it out for the taxidermist.
Yeah, and the simplest way to do it is we go here. Well, this I'll actually make this cut because this is no big deal. Is you cut all the way around just above the knee. Yeah, right like this. Right. Okay, and then here you got the line between the white fur and the brown fur. Yeah, and you go straight up that line into the armpit, straight to the sternum here. Okay, rinse and repeat here around this, like so. Yeah, and you go up into the armpit, straight to the sternum, and you flesh that all the way down. And be careful in here. A lot of people screw up in here because usually they have a lot of fat on their brisket. Okay, and then the next thing is from the sternum here. You go all the way around back to the sternum. Okay, and then you start fleshing that all the way back. A good way to gauge, some taxidermists will say they need 4 inches of neck meat like mine. So a good gauge for 4 inches of neck meat is the width of an adult man's hand. You put that here, you flesh it down to here, go around the neck and saw the head off.
No, very good.
That's done. And then, as Paul did on his, is if you have to take this, if you want all your neck meat, you would then go all the way up here, yeah? And then you can flesh it right down to the back of their ears and then cut their head off.
Very good. Yeah, and when Sean's saying fleshing, that's just skinning the hide down, keeping as much meat off of it as you possibly can. But the taxidermist will do extra fleshing before they mount, or the tannery will, and you'll be good to go. So that's just kind of a quick and easy way, yeah, the rundown, lowdown of it. But so what we're going to do now is we're going to show you guys how to just pull the hide off of this one, and then we'll show you how to break it down real quick so you can transport it back home if you have coolers, or take it into the butcher. So stick around for that, and we'll show you how to get that done here in just a moment. All right, so now we're getting ready to take the hide off. Sean's running the knife right up the leg there. It's good to have a buddy because you can hold it so it doesn't move on you.
Yep.
And this can be done on the ground. It's definitely a lot tougher, but it's something that you can do on the ground. Always good to keep an extra back, like a couple big trash bags in your pack, just in case you have to do it on the ground. Let's say you're out in the back country and you need to break it down up there. That way you don't get a lot of twigs and sticks and brush and all that stuff on it.
And taxidermists love it if you get a bunch of dirt in your cape, FYI. Not really.
Yeah.
It took 40 blades to flesh. That's pulling this off. My elk from this year from Wyoming, 40 razor blades.
Yeah, what's your taxidermist's name again?
John Delaney.
John, yeah.
Wildlife Creations.
Yeah. John gave him a little bit of a hard time for that one when we went over there later.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and kind of half do it like we're doing a cape, but we're not really doing a cape.
Yeah, and once you get kind of the front end of the deer cape off, and you cut the tail, and pretty much it'll peel right off the back. So,
yep.
Trying to get the best I can here.
And there's multiple different ways. We're doing it the old school way more or less right now. There's a tool, an air skinner, that's absolutely fantastic. I'm pretty sure there's YouTube videos out there about that. A friend of mine has it. Maybe next year we can do an air skinner video.
That'd be cool. Yeah, for the regular Joe that may be just getting into it or doesn't want to put, how much is an air skinner there?
I don't think they're very expensive, maybe 25, 50 bucks.
Oh, okay, well, that's not bad at all then.
But you gotta have an air compressor.
So
I've got an old air compressor that probably doesn't have enough air to blow the hair off or blow the skin off one of these.
Yeah, I've never used one of those, but I think it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, I'll tell you that 350 Legend did a number on her chest there, didn't it?
Yeah, it ruined her day.
Well, the good thing is we missed that one shoulder.
Yeah.
Well, no, we didn't. No, we didn't.
No, denied.
You see Sean's just running around the back leg there.
Yeah. Hard part's trying to get this and not, try not to hack any of the hind quarter off, because sometimes when after the rut in Michigan, they lose a lot of fat because the does and the bucks have been running their butts off, and you get you'll nick into your meat a little bit. I mean, it's not a major big deal, but just
it's good to avoid it.
Exactly. That, and if you want to try to make a deerskin coat or something like that, like my buddy tried to do one time.
How'd that work out for him?
It didn't. Some people try.
And I think I mentioned, I don't know if it was in one of my podcasts or I think it was on one of my podcasts, but there are groups that you can donate the hide to that do make gloves for veterans.
Yeah.
So if you want to utilize the hide, and which is recommended, utilize the animal to the best of its ability, you can donate it to these groups and they can make gloves for veterans. So just FYI for y'all. And I apologize for the filming. I'm trying to get the best I can here. But y'all can kind of see how that's done. So you just pretty much skin out all the hide off of the meat here. And then you go around each side, come up the back, and you're gonna cut the tail. There's a joint inside the tail that you can cut it with a knife, or if you have a Sawzall, you can just cut it with that.
I'm a fan of the Sawzall because I don't like to dull my knife on that.
All right, well, I had a little mishap there. So I'm gonna help Sean skin the rest of this thing. You guys kind of get the idea of it, and we'll come back to you guys and show you how to break it down and put the meat in the cooler. So we'll be back here in just a couple. So hopefully you can see what we've got here. So we've got the full deer. We're gonna go ahead and take out what we call the back strap, which is similar to kind of like a ribeye on a beef. So we're gonna pull all this out. We're gonna go ahead and take the flanks. We're gonna take the shoulders off. We should probably go ahead and take shoulders off first, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the shoulders first.
So we're gonna go ahead and pull the shoulders off real quick. So what we're gonna do, we'll turn this around so you guys can kind of see. In the shoulder area, this one's a complete mess, but you're going to want to take your first cut right here and just kind of pull on the shoulder, just like that. And that's going to come off. And there's a little joint right in here that you want to get around, yep, just like that. And then this should just peel right off.
Be a little bit better if it didn't have a bullet hole through the shoulder.
Yeah. And that's one thing. You know, if you're shooting bow and arrow, you're not going to have all this because there's not as much
shock.
Yeah. And you can see where
the scapula is, which is basically the same thing as the human shoulder blade. And the reason why to do the shoulders first, like that, is the loins run clear down into the base of the neck.
Yep. It looks like they took a little bit of the loin there, but that's okay. So with the back strap, what you want to do is you want to go as high as you can right here. Make just an incision down along there. Then you're going to want to run
follow
the spine right down in there. And don't worry about getting too much out of there. So if you take a little bit of the butt meat or a little bit of the rib meat, that's fine. You just want to make sure you get as much of that back strap as you possibly can, because that's the best part of the deer. I'll share most of my deer with anybody except for that. Alright, so you're just going to work your knife around in there, get it to where it gives way. Like that. All right, see how that's, I don't know if you guys can see that. So right here, you're gonna just follow the rib cage down, all the way down, okay?
Everybody likes different shaped knives for different reasons. He's using a bigger knife. I prefer using like a Havilon for literally everything, gutting, skinning, quartering. Just for simple fact of is you can get right in nice and tight.
Well, this one right here,
Which is like a caping knife, same thing as a Havilon, just not changeable blades.
so this one you can get in there a little bit easier. So the smaller the knife, like Sean said, well, the Havilons, they stay sharp and you can change out the blades or a surgical blade. I'm missing some here, I did that last time too. So if you decide you want to do it yourself, it might take a little trial and error.
Yep.
But just give it a shot, get as much meat as you can. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. Been doing this for years. So is Sean.
And now I'm gonna, after he's on his side, I'll show him a trick I learned. A little Michigan trick.
Yep, and there's the first one. So this is going to be nice and tender.
Same thing as what Paul does. Go right down using my Havilon knife, going down that. Yeah, right here. So you don't have to flesh it out a little later. Is when you make your incisions across. Is if you can get behind this, there's a membrane, and you can literally peel that off before you remove the tenderloin by just going underneath it with the tip of your blade.
Oh, that's good.
You run your fingers down like that. It peels that right off, and you don't have to deal with the fat ever. This is a Dr. Demerit trick.
Nice.
He's a chiropractor friend of mine, so obviously he knows all about bones, joints, and ligaments and connective tissue.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start using that because that'll save me a lot of time when I get it on the table.
You just barely touch it with that knife as you're pulling that down.
Yeah, and then look, it opens that back strap up so you can actually see where you're
You
cutting.
can actually see the whole back strap down the rib.
Yeah.
Like right there is that. Right there's that. You can literally take your fingers, start running them back and forth up underneath there. You might have to stick the blade and maybe do a little nicking and trimming.
Yeah, that's awesome. See, y'all learn something new every day.
This little Michigan ingenuity right there. There's a bone and it sticks up right there.
Mm-hmm.
This is where your loin starts. This is part of your ass meat.
Yeah.
Excuse the pun, but that's the truth. That's part of the hind quarter, I should say.
2 and 1. Same.
Yeah. And that's the trick, is once you get, that's why I like to start high, is I'd rather take a little bit of that, maybe waste a little bit of the lesser quality meat to get the better quality. But if you've done it enough times, you literally can tickle these right out of there and they'll almost fall out in your hand.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's not that hard. Just, you know,
Time
and patience. But if you're gonna hunt, you really should know how to do this and at least experience it once or twice yourself instead of taking it straight to the butcher.
Yeah.
It gives you more of an understanding of the animal, and then also, in my opinion, gives a respect to it as well. You see how Sean's getting in there and just kind of getting around the ribs and pulling as much meat off as he can. All right, so I'm about out of memory, so I'm gonna let Sean finish this up, and I'm just gonna run through and do a quick explanation of the rest of it.
Yep.
So with this, you've got your tenderloins right in here. So you're gonna want to take those, you pretty much put your fingers in there, run them down, and get those pulled out. You'll probably have to cut a little bit. The flanks, you can cut these down right here and pull that whole thing out to the rib cage. So you make a cut here, pull it out. Looking
Not
good.
bad, same length.
Yeah, and you can just slide that off, and just right here at the top of the rib, you'll make a cut. The hams here, or the back end of the animal, what we're going to do is we're going to take a saw and we're going to split them in half. We're going to cut both of the top parts of the legs that are inedible, and we're just going to throw those in the cooler, and then I'll do a video on how to break those down a little bit later on. But that's pretty much it, breaking the deer down, getting the hide off, and all that good stuff. So appreciate y'all watching, and we'll talk to y'all soon.